great weekend, unbelievable turnout by the fans. Cajun Nation was in full effect, and hats off to our production and marketing teams and just the fan engagement and just really cool weekend. And I think we had over 11,000 something there for the weekend, and they were rowdy all weekend. And thought the boys played great, especially their response on Sunday. And just what a weekend by Kyle DeBarge. I think he continues to solidify himself as, one of the best guys that have ever played here. And just really proud of him and the rest of the boys too. There was a lot of really good performances. Dropped the ball on Wednesday, and HCU now just beat us, out-hit us, outplayed us. And so come back, get the game the way we did on Friday, and then have the same exact script written, which you never see, on Saturday, and then to lose it the way we did was really disappointing. But the guys have short memories. They bounced back and responded in a big way, and it was great to get that series. So you look at 2-2 on the road at Coastal, and then at home against Southern Miss. I think that's just a rock solid way to start second half of the league.
Talk about what it takes, and has it changed from like the beginning of the year to now on the mental approach that it takes to driving in runs? Obviously Wednesday, that was the whole problem. You left 14 on and struggled a little bit in games 1 and 2. But just talking about has it changed any, or is it the same as it always is?
Wednesday, we stranded 14 runners. And, there's two things that are really an extreme mindset, and that's hitting with 2 strikes and driving in runs. And, it's attitude driven, it's approach driven. And, a lot of amateur hitters want to be too picky in those spots. I'm talking about driving in runners, especially in what we call alpha ABs, runner at third, less than 2. When we really and truly want to take the fight to the guy on the bump in those spots, pick out a pitch that you can handle, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and let's stay inside that thing and finish it through the middle of the field. And that's a concept that takes time. Some guys are innately, they just have it. And then other guys, that's a concept that takes time. And a lot of hitting is greed, man. And you want to do too much, especially if you've had prior success. You got to dumb it down, man. First good pitch you get, let's get after it. Hitting with 2 strikes, that's just a battle. And it's a mindset that you can't get me out. I can get myself out. I don't want to do that. But you can't get me. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to win this at bat, put the ball in play, find a way to reach base. And you got to shorten up and really hunt the inside half of the baseball. We call it hitting sideways. And get that knob past the baseball, leave some lag in that barrel, and have some room to handle the breaking ball. And you can learn to hit with 2. You can learn to drive in runners, but a lot of guys just have it. And, that's how they get to play at these levels. So we'll continue to work to get better offensively, but I'm proud of the way they responded yesterday.
What about LP? He hasn't, I don't think the last time he gave up a run was Arkansas State. I don't even know. He hasn't pitched back-to-back all season. And so is that a mental thing? Because obviously he didn't get hit hard the other night, but he wasn't quite as sharp or as dominating as he had been when he has that week off. But somewhere along the way, you're going to need him to pitch maybe twice in one day, certainly in back-to-back days down the road.
Well, that's a bridge he's going to have to cross regardless, and that was the conversation that morning. And he's going to pitch in the big leagues. If he stays healthy, that's what they look like. And, especially out the bullpen back end guy, you're going to be called on, for a 4-out save or a 6-out, whatever it might be. You're going to be called on to pitch back-to-back days. Remember BJ telling me one time, I think he went out 8 straight days, something like that. I might be exaggerating, but it's something like that. And, 14 pitches to come out, and the stuff was still the same. And Gunnar does a great job of making sure him and James Lang, our strength coach, making sure those guys are ready. And he had force plate tested, and the metrics were all great. I think it's just a case of, one pitch gets away, we hit a kid. And then hats off. The hardest part of that inning, in my mind, was the bunt that the backup catcher laid down. He was just into the ball game. And I would hate to have to bunt off LP. And he got it down first pitch, and then lo and behold, I think everybody in the Paris was shocked when the kid, shot one into center field. But that's life in the fast lane. That's life in that role. And you got to have thick skin in that role, and he's going to win way more of those battles than he's going to lose. So in the long run, it's a good experience for him all the way around, back-to-back days, like you said. And then, having to respond from just a little bit of adversity. And I would have bet anything on the fact that he was going to throw up a 0 and maybe another one if we needed him to. And then, Pastore's infield single plays a lot bigger right there. Maybe a pinch hit and we bunt, Mandino over, or he still gets to second with one out. It's just a different situation. It's a different hill to climb. But that's baseball. It is what it is. We were fortunate to get the first one, drop that second one, and then respond in a big way yesterday.
As far as the lineup right now, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's got to be tough because it looked like Connor was getting hot, and then all of a sudden he's not hot anymore. So, I mean, it's just hard to make up.
Well, for 3.5 weeks, we struggled. We might have been hitting like 240, 250 as a team. Fix our approach. Okay, and then so for 4 or 5 weeks, we ride it. I think we hit 327 as a team over those next, how many ever weeks they were. Last 10 games, now it's back up because of 18 hits yesterday. So last 10 games, we're hitting 300. But going into yesterday, we were hitting 273. That's approach related. And so that was the message yesterday. Look, we need grown men on this field today, and you've got to own your approach. I'm gonna be in there with you. I'll give you direction. But at the end of the day, you've got to be you, and you got to play your game that benefits us. That's the essence of the pack. Every player's different. We need what you bring to the table, Maddox, Broussard. Your job's to get on base for Debo. Debo, your job's to get on base for Duncan. And I went through the whole lineup. And they got the message. They went out and played our brand of baseball yesterday. And I got text from my dad, and he's right. Don't forget about the small ball. And, just because we haven't been as good as maybe some of the other packs in the past doesn't mean that we can't do it. And don't forget it. And you saw us able to spin the game a little bit yesterday. I don't know if that answers your question, Kevin.
This one might help with that. So the second part of that is, our team started to adjust to that approach that gave you all that success in that 5 weeks, or not really?
Well, it's kind of like running 3-1, 3-2. You know about it. What are you going to do about it? I mean, it is what it is. And, the approach is to get a pitch in your zone. That's up to us. That's not up to them. If they want to throw it out of the zone, then we need to not chase it out of the zone. And, strikeouts will bite us. One of the things these teams, the great teams, have in common, the Astros proved it over their 5-6 year run here. They can drive the ball and they can put the ball in play when needed. And the ability to put the ball in play on command, that's how you play in Omaha. That's how you play for a long time. And it's up to me to put the guys that I feel like are going to give us the best chance to do that on a given day versus what we're facing. And, yesterday I wanted to let some guys watch, and that lineup looked pretty good.
What kind of challenge does Troy present?
Hey, they're good now. They were picked up at the top of the league for a reason. I thought they were good a year ago and the year before that. Skylar does a great job with those kids. They're going to play hard. They're going to be able to pitch it. They've got a really good offense, and they play extremely well. It's very similar to Coastal in their ballpark. And the challenge is always within us, and it's to win that freebie battle. And we can't go in like we did at Coastal and be generous. A lot of walks, errors, et cetera, et cetera. The ability to throw strike one, dominate routine plays, and get good pitches and find a barrel, that'll be paramount. That's key. And if we do that, we'll have a chance to be right there in all three of them.
Same weekend rotation?
It is. How would you rank? We talked about the same thing with Texas State, ballpark-wise. Coastal, and Troy, all somewhat similar. Is it as bad as those other two as far as the ability for pop flies to maybe go out, or is it about the same, or how would you rank them?
Well, it's a little different because it's only half the field. You've got from center field over to right, which is hitter friendly. Talking about Troy. Texas State's just a hitter's paradise when you catch it on the right day. If you catch a northern blow in, you're going to be in trouble. Coastal was my first time there. I was a little surprised. The prevailing wind, is off the ocean. It's going to come in some. I think putting two and two together here, I think if you look at their numbers, a lot of their numbers, I'm not taking anything away from them. They've had great teams, and they know how to hit in that park. But I'm willing to bet a lot of their numbers come earlier in the year when you might catch a northern, et cetera. But still, that park is hitter friendly regardless. But it's not as if there's a little wind in your face, there were several balls get held up. And then Troy, my experience at Troy in 2014, we went over there and just we had a field day in that ballpark with that group. Went back a couple of years ago. It was not a fun experience. They played great, we didn't, and they got us. So I think it's a fair ballpark. It's fun to hit in, and if you pitch it well, you can still pitch it well. And I know they've had some great additions to their field, and I'm excited to see them. So,
is there a line where you get thrown out too much that stealing bases is not good, and are you even close to that one?
We haven't stolen any bases, Kevin. We stole 166 last year. I think, what do we have, 40-something? I don't know. We stole that in a week, probably, one time. Some of these caught stealings are missed hit and runs. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, just the style of play we've had to adapt to and adjust to. And, look, we're putting up better numbers, actually. I mean, we're on pace to hit more home runs, score more runs. I mean, we've got a little bit higher batting average right now. Each team's different. You've got to create in different ways. And would I like to be able to just run in your face? Yeah, I really would. Some of those caught stealings, they are what they are. More concerning to me is making the first out at third, making the third out at third. I can't fault us playing hard, but those are all situations that have been overly coached. Those are the things, if you're not just taking extra bases, that'll get you in trouble. Miss squeeze. God bless him, Cheo, that ball was probably out of the other's batter's box. It was a roll of the dice on myself, and that's on me. But, Donk strikes out. We have bases juiced. We go strike one. Kid's from a little lower slot. It's going to be a tough matchup. And, so we're going bases loaded squeeze right there. Horrible pitch. And so at that juncture, that's on me. And Cheo did everything he could to get the bat on it. But he did what a really good player does. He picked us up. And that's what I love to see. We've hit with 2 outs. We've hit with 2 strikes. I mean, a lot of different components to the offense besides just running. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, at some point it's either are you going to do it or not.